Welcome back. This is Daybreak, and thanks for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. On my immediate right is Njeri Maina. She is the woman MP representing the county of Kirinyaga. Good morning. Good morning and Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Lovely having you here on the broadcast. Fred Okango is political strategist. Fred, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for making time for the broadcast. Gitonga Mukunji is the MP representing Manyata constituency and as well as the chairperson of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians. Good morning.
Good morning, Ayub.
Lovely having you. Shortly we'll be joined by Maina Karobia, who is an MP at the East African Legislative Assembly in Arusha, Tanzania. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your time. Let's first take a look at the front pages of the papers, and the Daily Nation says how Raila Odinga's AUC vote will shape Ruto's 2027 race. The veteran politician, according to the paper's fate in tomorrow's election of the AU Commission chairperson, will have huge political ramifications back at home, win or lose. It will trigger new realignments with key players in the 2027 State House contest, including President William Ruto, watching keenly and hoping for a favorable outcome. First, to begin with you, Fred, and what would Odinga spoke on Monday and said, whatever the outcome, he will be contented, win or lose. But what will be the immediate consequence of whatever the outcome from Addis on Saturday?
Thank you so much, Ayub. And I'm happy to participate in this discussion this morning. And first of all, to the women of the world, I wish them a very happy Valentine. You can see my good sister here showed up in red and she's looking smart. Now, Ayub, Raila Amolo Odinga, first of all, I really must commend him for having been very brave to present himself to the African nations for the position of chairmanship of AUC. And to that extent, he has done very well. And we know he has gone out there to sell his vision to the member states, particularly the head of states, or African head of states, as to why he should be the chairperson of AUC. Personally, I've written about this in the newspapers several times, why Raila Odinga is the best person for the job. Okay. And many analysts and many diplomatic or diplomacy commentators have said the same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at Raila Odinga, he has a legacy of both local and international politics. Mm-hmm. Extensive political experience. He has been a member of parliament, he has been a minister, he has been a prime minister, mm-hmm. He is a party leader, mm-hmm. He is a politician. His Pan-African vision, his track record on issues of economy and infrastructure development. Remember, he has been a high representative of infrastructure development in the African Union. And therefore, those are some of the qualities that would put him ahead of his competitors. Mm-hmm. You have asked a question.
The consequence here back at home. The consequence
back at home, whatever the outcome. Having told you why, in my view, I believe Raila Amolo Odinga is the best person for the job, I can also tell you that if Raila Amolo Odinga wins this election tomorrow, yeah, then the consequences will be such that the Kenyan people who have been supporting him, particularly some of us, mm-hmm. and the government of the day, because the diplomat number one is today President Ruto, who has been leading these campaigns together with his minister, Mudavadi, they'll be very happy. Okay. Because yeah, that puts them at a position of peace. Number two, if for whatever reason, yeah, Raila Amolo Odinga fails to clinch the position of AUC, and Raila Odinga has told us before, Ayub, that if he wins, it is all and good. If he loses, it's all and good. Remember, Raila Amolo Odinga has walked this path before. in different platforms. And winning an election, he has won. Losing an election, he has lost. There'll be nothing lost because Raila Amolo Odinga told us that he has a home in Kenya. He will come back home and continue doing what Kenyans expect him to do.
All right.
So we don't have to look at it that way.
Okay.
But I must say, Ayub, that it is in the interest of his supporters for him to win the AUC election, because that is where his heart is now.
And Honorable Mukunji, what do you make of this? Either side, the bearing this will have on local politics, given that he has been an omnipresent political figure who politics revolve around nationally. What do you think will be the bearing this will have on local realignments?
Thank you so much, Ayub. And I also want to take toll and say good morning to the viewers, and happy Valentine's Day to the people of Kenya. I've heard my friend say it's only women that celebrate Valentine's.
I did not say that. I just wished the women.
but it's good to say everybody in Kenya to have a good Valentine's Day. But first is to actually say, well, I believe the AUC candidature is a good test to Kenyan foreign policy. And I'm keen to see, I don't want to actually talk much on win or lose, because we just have a day to know the outcome. But I believe, looking at Raila, he looks, even if he wins, he's not leaving Kenyan political scene anytime soon. Just the other day during the prayers, I heard him sort of coming out to, in a way, endorse gubernatorial status of Nairobi. So many people who have watched him lose elections and being in this political scene, and knowing very well he has a very elaborate party, ODM party. You know very well he is not yet out of the Kenyan political scene. And I would say that, of course, from what I have seen the president do, to him it is a do or die for Raila to win. He looks, he's not sparing anything for Raila to win this seat. And when the outcome comes,
at what expense is he his chief, beyond being his chief campaigner, putting all things in order, according to you, for him to...
I don't think we can surmount the resources that have been used on this candidature for Raila Odinga. So my hope is we wait and see what comes of it tomorrow. And we can talk after that. And I know we'll have a good conversation when this happens. All I can say is, of course, we also need to actually say that as a country, we also need to look at what really should be the conversation right now. Because when I look at the interests of the country, all bent to a position of Raila Odinga, really I feel sad, because there are many other things that we can be having a serious conversation about. I mean, this is not the first time Kenya has thrown itself out there. We have had Amina Mohammed coming out to go for a similar position. And I want to say that, in my own opinion, when it comes to our relationships with other countries, I believe Kenya stands in a position that we are always either in the seat of competition or we are in the peripheral watching. And that is why I don't want to say the chances of Raila winning, because it's just a day. But I'm waiting to see whether our foreign policy is working.
We'll see that, because much more depended also on his campaigns, individual, and what President Ruto has done in inviting heads of state here, and also visiting some countries, including Africa's most influential country and biggest military, that's Egypt, recently. Honorable Njeri Maina, is President William Ruto, in putting all this energy into Odinga's campaigns, expecting a win and thereafter inherit his bastions, including in Nyanza and in Western Kenya, as a substitute for the growing, shifting support, especially in central Kenya, where you come from?
Thank you, Ayub. First of all, let me say that women are ready to receive money bouquets today. Men will be receiving socks. I do want to wish Raila Odinga all the best. I do believe that given his age and contribution to this country, he does deserve some decent exit in politics. From where I sit, Ayub, I think that, of course, it's political maneuvering for the president, and with a target to see how we have seen him increase visits in Western, we've seen him increase visits in Nyanza region, coastal region, which traditionally have been touted to support Raila Odinga in Mase. And there are going to be implications if he wins and if he loses. I've seen arguments that if he loses, he is likely to stir the political waters in Kenya and perhaps even give a run for 2027. There are also arguments that if he wins and goes to AU, he's not likely to want to come back to vie for presidency. I do feel that if Baba leaves for AU, the regions that support him will be open for grabs. I do not know why the president thinks he's the only one that will be trying to, marshal support in those regions and ensure that he gets that vote basket for himself, because we will have quite a number of presidential candidates in 2027. And even from Wamunyoro, we will also be visiting those regions to canvass support for the candidate we'll be fielding in 2027. So for me, it will open up doors for a new political dispensation, even in Luo Nyanza, because, of course, we've seen right now we have a faction of ODM that seems to be ardently pro-government. We have a faction that, seems to be acting in the boots or wearing the boots of opposition. So we'll have that push and pull, and I know that over time we will see it ramp up from both sides of the divide. So those consequences, I think from tomorrow we will know what will be happening. But I do wish him well, and perhaps I do think he will win in the second round, if not the first.
Okay. So your prediction is that he will come home victorious?
No, he will. Is he coming home? Is he going to stay there?
Honorable Maina, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good to have you on the broadcast.
Thank you.
He is the lawmaker at the East African Legislative Assembly. You have seen certainly the amount of energy that the head of state has put in Odinga's campaigns, besides Odinga himself visiting some countries in the continent. What do you make of whatever the country will be bracing itself for tomorrow from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia?
Thank you very much, Ayub, for hosting me here. My apologies, I came late, but you understand I come all the way from Arusha to be here in Nairobi. But just to be direct to your question, the East African Legislative Assembly is the first institution, public institution, to fully endorse the candidature of Raila Odinga. And it was unanimously endorsed by parliamentarians of East Africa, all the countries, the 8 countries of East Africa, when we had our plenary session in Kenya last year in March. And this comes from the understanding that during this time, it is the chairmanship of African Union Commission should come from the East Africa. And the only candidate from East Africa who had thrown his hat in the ring then was the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and that's why we as legislators at the East African level, we endorsed his candidature. From where I sit, that's the candidate for the East African community, and we wish him the very best as he goes for the seat, because with the current administration in the US, you understand there are some funding that will be dropped from certain development partners. I bet that when we have an East African there, charity begins at home. He is going to at least help us to fit some of these gaps, because it will be engaging development partners at a continental level. So at least with the understanding that charity begins at home, I know he will be looking with us with some sympathy.
Yeah, but also, mind you that USAID was a global organization that had largely also targeted other parts of the continent. Would he not be then selfish if he targets, say, for example, as you said, some sympathy for the East African region, considering that there are also challenges of greater scale if you look at the western part of the continent, the southern part of the continent, and central, where much is needed because of the conflict in the DRC?
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying that from where he sits, actually he comes at a very difficult time, because some of these international development partners, they are going back to their countries, given the rise of conservative ideologies in the West. And I think Raila Odinga, or this seat, needs a politician. In fact, and I was saying it yesterday in a certain political show, and I was saying that the African Union needs to tap into the political skill, the experience of Raila Odinga. For the longest time, USC or African Union and intergovernmental organizations of Africa, we have this notion that a technocrat will best serve as heads of institutions. By the way, for me, I believe the contrary is true. They need a political figurehead, somebody who is able to unlock bureaucracies, somebody who can be able to go out there and look for development partners. And that's why European Union, majority of the heads, actually not majority of the heads, the heads of African Union, call it the African Union Commission, call it, not Africa, the European Union Commission, the European Union Council, they are headed by former prime ministers, former presidents, and what have you. So for me, I believe that if African Union wants to get into the best chapter in the current affairs of the globe, they need a political figurehead. There's a certain skill. Yeah. Honorable Mokonji and Honorable Njeri, and even myself, because I'm a politician, we offer in terms of approaches and in terms of engagement with the development partners that a technocrat will not see them.
All right. We'll then see if then he wins.
For me, I look at it from what he offers the African Union.
Okay. And given that you had told us about the EU experience, then if he wins, whether he can achieve what the likes of Ursula von der Leyen in Europe and Joseph Borrell had achieved for Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, when we get back from the break, we proceed with this topic and then shift attention to Parliament's scorecard, young MPs, and your contributions so far as we head into the final half of the parliamentary term that is set to end or lapse in 2027 before the elections. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. We are back with more on this after the break here on the broadcast. Stay tuned.